Hello, Eight of Cups family. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your weekly edit. It's going to be a great week, guys. We've got so much going on that's going to kind of push us towards this positive forward momentum this week. But quickly, I just wanted to say thank you, guys. The videos, the views have been rising. And just a reminder, I know I don't do it like most YouTubers do. But it is so much appreciated if you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that you guys are resonating with the readings. I'm so happy they're getting out there. But in order for me to tune into your individual energies a little bit more, it does help if you comment. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to publicly comment, and that's absolutely okay. You can also email me. I always list my email in the description box if you have anything specific going on. I'm definitely a very friendly reader. I try to answer everybody in a timely fashion, so please feel free to message or comment below, or any which way in which I could tune into your energy a little bit more. Likes, subscribes, and shares are much appreciated in order to grow this channel. Okay, so looking at this week, first of all, it's Aquarius season. So happy birthday to my Aquariuses. This is a big deal because Aquarius season is always forward, future oriented. And what's really special is that we're entering Aquarius season at the same time Aquarius's ruling planet, Uranus, is stationing to go direct. So there's no doubt, like, we've already been seeing some pretty crazy stuff with Uranus stationing direct. It does, especially in the sign of Taurus, have a lot to do with the weather as it's in an earth sign. So you saw all kinds of crazy weather developments, snowstorms in the south, tornadoes in Florida. This is all pretty par for the course. It's not over yet. We're going to feel this energy, especially as the sun moves into Aquarius, for the next week or so, at least 5 days. So pay attention to what's going on. Just know that any sudden crazy stories that you're hearing are most likely brought to you by the planet Uranus this week. As well, this energy can serve to make us feel a little bit restless, right? I know so many people that come to me around a Uranus transit and they're like, oh my God, I haven't slept in days, I can't sleep. You have to remember, Uranus is kind of like a higher octave of Mercury. It's like Mercury on steroids. So all of that kind of electric feeling energy, having a hard time putting your phone down, probably a lot of communication, a lot of thoughts coming, things that we want to write down or track in some way. This is going to be really heavy in the next couple of days. And you might switch between feeling restless and anxious to being absolutely, completely exhausted, and that's okay. It's another one of those weeks where I advise everybody to kind of stay tuned with their energy, follow their, what their body needs at the time. If you're feeling really anxious, do things that'll make you feel a little bit more grounded. A reminder that we are still operating in the Cancer full moon energy that lasts for at least 2 weeks. So there's also an emotional element to this. This is why I'm so particularly excited about the sun moving into Aquarius, because after all of this emotional stuff, right? This was a really big full moon. We had big emotions, big realizations, facing like the real honest truth about situations, where we're going, what we want. And Aquarius season kind of comes along, and it asks you to get a little bit emotionally detached, which is going to feel like a blessing after being so heavily confronted with Pluto. Now, we're not done with Pluto. We still have a little dance going on with the retrogrades all going over, Venus and Mercury all going over the planet Pluto. Boy, you could really tell Mercury is retrograde. So we're not done with the Pluto energy, but the next pass is the finality in a way, because we've already allowed the reset. We've been in the reset process. And remember how I said over the next couple of weeks, we're still going to have time to reassess, right? things became obvious. We made decisions. Things are becoming very clear. So we know where we're going, right? Aquarius energy is all that forward-seeking, big picture kind of stuff. But what happens is my favorite part of the week, finally on the 24th, Mars moves into Capricorn. And Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It really likes to be there. And it's another level of like emotional detachment, having to do the hard work. We're going to talk about that in a second. But what happens is this period of time, we're able to reassess with both Venus and Mercury retrograde. So we're able to see things in a different way. We're emotionally detached. Mars moves into Capricorn, and now we could start to make a plan with forward movement. Okay, so that means that over the next couple of weeks, Mars is going to give you the stamina and the strategy to accomplish the things that now you realize you want to do, or the direction you now realize you want to move forward in. And I love that energy because Mars is like such a badass in Capricorn, right? Mars in Aries can be, although, obviously his favorite sign, he could be hasty, he could be a little bit reckless. Mars in Capricorn is like a really solid mix of the wisdom. And I think it's important to look at the situations in our lives, the day-to-day stuff, the conversations, the people, the co-workers or the bosses, the things that like really irk you, and you say, how much attention or time or resources do I really want to give to this? Especially in the realm of emotions, right? Is this worth the passion? Is it worth the anger? Is it worth the aggravation? Because Mars in Capricorn is going to ask us to get real disciplined about our resources, real discipline about our time and our energy, what is worth it to us and what isn't. Now remember, Mars is a cutting energy. So I think anything that doesn't stay within the Capricorn boundaries that are being formed right now will easily be cut away, confronted, and taken care of once and for all. So this is really exciting territory. Now, I also want to explain that right before Mars moves into the sign of Capricorn, he spends a couple days hitting this 27 degrees of Sagittarius point, which what we refer to as the galactic point. This is the ultimate inspiration that comes along that sets Mars and Capricorn energy to a task, right? And I often say that when we have planets that come through the galactic point, as the sun went through the galactic point in late December of last year, there's a certain amount of clarity that we receive in this transit as well. Because things are so illuminated and because there's such a deep dramatic portal at the 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which really is representing ultimately freedom. And I know I talk about that endlessly on this channel. Because we have so many transits going on right now, that is so important in our personal journey towards freedom, whatever that freedom means to you. Free from societal standards, free from emotional baggage, like whatever this freedom is for you, freedom with money, freedom with time, freedom with your resources. Whatever it is, we're on a journey towards our greater freedom. And when we have Aquarius season happening at the same time, there's something about our authenticity, our ability to truly be who we are. Now, we've gone through a lot of drama over the past couple of years, right? Like cancel culture and all of that nonsense. And to be completely honest, like it has been somewhat of a cruel existence for humans lately. Like people are literally afraid to have opinions or to speak their minds because judgment isn't just judgment now. It's like amped up judgment. It's never being spoken to. It's written out of society. Like these are really scary things. And I think with the energy that comes in at this month, we are going to really start to see the collective kind of rapidly get over this in a lot of ways. Like, we're not going to be so heavily affected by cancel culture or whatever fears it is in your life that's playing out, in which you fear some sort of judgment or consequence for you just simply being who you are. Now, again, with that emotional detachment energy, it allows us to see things big picture. It allows us to let go of the pain or the attachment to our ego that we have. You know, if we've been through situations where, like, we didn't get the job or we felt rejected by someone in some way, like, now we get to see the bigger picture. We get to see why it all had to happen that way, because the new opportunities are coming in. The vibration that you're at, like if you're here on this channel, if you're listening to tarot, if you're listening to spiritual content or astrology of some kind, I have to assume that you're naturally in tune with your vibration. And when we're talking about your vibration, we're starting to realize that we are creators of our own reality. And I think that that in and of itself is probably the most important realization that we can have, that we are totally in control of ourselves and our environment and how we feel, and that we've spent an awful lot of time in our lives allowing other people to kind of manipulate us into being a certain way. And then one day we wake up and realize all we want to be is ourselves. We want to be free to do that, to move with freedom and to speak with freedom. These are some of the most important gifts that we could have in our lifetimes. And it's important to never, ever, and this is kind of the Pluto thing coming in, we never give that power away again. So we've got a lot of profound clarity coming in. We've got a lot of forward movement coming in. Next week, guys, Venus and Mercury just Venus stations to go forward, which means she's going to prepare for her third and final meeting with Pluto, which is going to be kind of a big deal. Now, that won't occur next week, but her stationing will. And shortly after that, I believe it's February 3rd or 4th, Mercury stations to go direct. So we really are approaching this time of forward movement, and there might be some frustrations, of course, with these two planets still being retrograde. This is a blessing because it's allowing us to kind of go back over this territory, this old territory, reframe it, decide where we want to go next with our new profound wisdom, and move forward. So it's all in the name of a process. And most importantly, if this is the only thing you hear in the entire reading, I promise you that there is so much potential for February and early March. It really does have the potential to be the most beautiful month that we have had in multiple years at this point. So the things that you're doing right now, the things you're working on, the emotional healing that we're all doing, like, it's so crucial to the storyline. And we don't want to leave anything undone. We don't want to carry that baggage, because February comes and it's like this breath of fresh air. It's the ability to really see magic for what it is. And we've got some beautiful transits coming up, guys. We're really going to get into the heart of Jupiter in Pisces next month. So it's important to not be discouraged. It's important to keep looking forward and believing in yourself at this time. And you're going to see a lot of promise come out of this. All right, so as usual, guys, I always provide timestamps in the description box below. If you want to jump to one certain pile, please feel free to do so. You don't have to listen to me ramble on, and you don't have to, rewind and fast forward or whatever. I chose 3 piles today. I picked a more masculine feeling cards and stones because of all of the Mars energy coming in. And especially that Mars in Capricorn, there's some very earth-like stones here as well. So I wanted to kind of encapsulate that energy. So pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. Take a moment, look at the thumbprint, see what resonates with you. If you resonate more with the number or the stone, whatever it takes, guys. And if you would like, listen to all of them and see what applies to you. I assure you, if you do listen, there are definitely messages in there that you are meant to hear, okay? I hope this resonates with you. I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care, guys. Okay, pile number 1. You guys chose the black obsidian stone. Your energy this week is coming out as the Queen of Swords. Now, I really like that because it kind of represents that emotional detachment that we sort of need to get us through this Mars energy. Now, the environment is that of the High Priestess right here, Priestess card number 2. And I think it's important. I always say when the environment or the situation comes out as the Priestess, it usually means outside circumstances, other people, like they're probably not going to be a source of clarity for you. In other words, you're probably not going to get like solid answers from anyone. You're not going to get, like, no one's going to show up and tell you what direction to take or how to move. And maybe this is something that you've been waiting on for a little while now. Like, you kind of say like the universe will show me the sign, and here's the universe kind of not showing you the sign. And I think that's because the universe thinks it's imperative right now, Queen of Swords, that you make the decisions. And I think it's important for you to understand like how empowered you're coming out here. This is a Queen of Swords, right? It's not a page, it's not a knight, it's not reckless, we're not learning new things. Like the Queen and the King are always a sign of mastery. Mastery within your communication, mastery over your thought patterns, things that you have conquered at this point. And because you've reached this point of clarity, right, it means the universe doesn't really have to shove you in a certain direction. It's not really trying to pull you. Now, see what happens, we have this Mars conjunction with the galactic center. And I think there's a knowing that comes over you. And I think if you apply the knowing, and I think if you allow yourself to trust in your own personal intuition, there really is no need for the haziness or doubt, right? We have to start to frame these stories in a way in which we could make easy and quick decisions, right? This isn't an energy where we kind of like emotionally agonize over the things we do. Like we have to tell somebody something and oh my God, like how are we going to, the Queen of Swords just says it. Now she could be a little ice queen, right? She could definitely give someone a cold shoulder. She could definitely manage situations in a way where emotions aren't typically involved. She could make the big decisions. She could draw the solid boundaries. She could say no without feeling guilt or regret, which is probably a form of mastery in and of itself, right? And here I'm looking at these first couple of cards out, and the energy is just stunning here. Now, there's a lot of major arcana, so whatever it is you guys are working on, whatever decisions you're making, clearly they're not small things. We have the Sun, and we have this bonus card, this Anant card. And whenever I have a deck of cards that has like a bonus card addition to the typical Rider White, I tend to really focus in on what it means within this reading. And when I see a Sun card next to this card in particular, it tells me that there's something precious you are protecting. And most likely, because a Sun card is involved, it has something to do with your actual destiny, right? Like if this is a job or a business you're trying to start or a project that you're getting off a new start to. Like this is something that is deeply embedded in your karmic sequence for this lifetime. And I see this as a gift. Now, if this is a love relationship, again, I see this as being something of a gift from the universe. Most likely something that you deeply resonate with, like at a soul level. And let's not forget the sun, the card of Leo, has everything to do with authenticity, with your ability to be yourself, to allow your heart to be seen. There's most likely a in-depth feeling of joy and surrender. And I almost want to say, like, I feel like this tremendous gratitude for where life has taken you. And here we have this King of Swords, not to be ignored, because we have a pair here, you, the Queen of Swords, and the King of Swords showing up. So most likely there is some kind of a spiritual match, whether it is a relationship, whether the King of Swords kind of represents whatever it is you're trying to conquer. Because that's what I see here. I see you trying to conquer something in the name of something. And underneath here we have, don't let the past hold you back, South Node. And underneath this we have the lost compass, getting back to integrity. See, for me, I feel as though you are stepping into a level of joy or happiness that you've never felt before. And much like us, like in our humanness, we start to really question it. We start to take on a little bit of anxiety here. Now, don't let the past hold you back, South Node. To have this card come out right underneath the happiest, most authentic card in the deck tells me that you are operating differently than you ever have before. And it is in spite of the things that you have gone through. If this is a love relationship, you are operating in such a way that you realize how vulnerable you are. And of course, you have every reason to think about, do I want to put myself out here? Do I want to risk this level of vulnerability? Because you start to think about the way that things happened in the past, right? We've all been here. We've all had those heartbreaks or those tragedies or those terrible stories or those mistakes, or when our heart was really set on somebody that was completely wrong for us. And not only do we have to go through like the forgiveness process of that other person for like not meeting our expectations, but then we also have to forgive ourselves because somehow we had convinced ourselves that something was so right when in fact we were really, really wrong, right? So like most of the time, common sense would say, well, let's just never do that again. And we tend to, like, as humans, we tend to like hold on to that energy, and then we use it as like a measuring stick for every other situation, and we start to say, well, this is similar to that, or this reminds me of that. And when we start to do that, when we start to question ourselves, then automatically we start to pull back, right? Because our ego is telling us, don't completely invest. And the universe wants you to know to not let the way it went before affect the way that this can go. See, this child, this baby, this embryo in the womb being kind of protected by the snake, which always represents kind of that Kundalini awakening kind of thing. And I just feel like the universe is asking you to protect this. Whatever it is that has gotten you in this state of joy. Now is not the time to pull back. Now is not the time to like pretend, right? Environment is the priestess. It's a time to speak your truth. It's a time to speak your intentions here. Lost compass, getting back to integrity. See, the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords, these are a couple. This is a power couple that knows how to communicate without fear of judgment. And sometimes when you remove the emotions, and I'm not saying like remove the love, right? But all of the emotions, all of the fear and oh my God, but what if they do this, or what if they say that, or, you know, like getting back to integrity means we have to speak our truth. We have to say that we are happy when we are happy. We have to be truthful with ourselves first. And I know that Mercury's retrograde. I know that Venus is retrograde. And I know that communication in of itself can be challenging. Right? Like as if it's not enough that we have to fight through like cell phone outages and broken phones, or, you know, like whatever, lost signals, like whatever it is that the universe is kind of creating in the means of chaos. On top of it, like we're supposed to really overthink our emotions and our vulnerability. Like, no. The universe just wants you to say it how it is. It wants you to speak your truth. It wants you to understand that you in and of yourself are such a valuable resource. See, this is you in the womb. This is a thing that you are creating. This is a destiny that you are meant to partake in. And I know it's precious and I know it's scary, but the words have to be said. And right underneath here, this Queen and King of Swords, we have the word truth. You already know the truth. The root cause of these obstacles has finally crystallized in your mind. Be inspired about this new outlook in life. You have everything you need to succeed. Action and discipline are required. Stop procrastinating. All right, and I love that. I love it because right next to the King of Swords, we have this Magician. See, you are the magician, right? This is more Mercury energy, a reminder that you are creating your existence just by the very thoughts in your mind. And because we're coming out as a Queen and King of Swords here, I think we've already reached that level of like knowing where the negative thoughts and the self-doubt and the negative self-talk, like we know where that gets us. We've mastered the lesson of creation. We understand that we are fully responsible for our circumstances. Now, there's a reminder that that doesn't mean that if you currently look around at your circumstances that this is where you are emotionally. You also have to give the material world time to catch up. Just because you changed your mind last week and you started, you know, it doesn't mean that it's all going to come together quickly. But now you know. And that's what I think of whenever I see the High Priestess come out in the environment. Well, now you know. And because you know, you can master this. And you can start to look at every scenario and situation in your life and say, well, I'm just going to say how I feel. It's not about worrying if I'm going to get rejected. It's not about worrying about what other people will think of me. It's not about what their actual reaction will be. Because you realize this is about your individual experience. And if this is a relationship or a job or something that you are bringing into your life that you've clearly like co-created with Spirit, then you know that anything you've co-created with Spirit won't reject you for who you are. It's simply vibrating at the same vibration that you are in. You've attracted this to you. This was a reward for the hard work in learning how to manifest your reality. Now, it doesn't mean it's all going to be easy. It doesn't mean like you just have to think positively and it's all going to work out great. Because here in this challenge position, we have the Strength card and we have this card of regret. I know that I cannot change the past. Well, remember I said there's a level of freedom here. The definition of insanity is continuing to do something the same way and expecting different results, right? So I think that we at this mastery level can look back at life and see clearly the wrong way that we went about doing things or the wrong decisions that we made and why. See, that's what this whole Pluto transit was all about. Okay, so you want to review like bad relationships or bad job choices or self-sabotaging behavior. Like if you really want to look at that, then you've got to look at it. And then you have to decide, I'm not going to do it that way anymore. And that's what this truth and this honesty is about. Even if it is about a particular relationship, maybe if you did slip into some sort of an old habit, remember, the truth will always set you free. There's also like that level of, like I'm getting this feeling of like wasted time. You know, like sometimes we can almost feel like, had we known this 20 years ago? And for anybody who's kind of going through that scenario in their head, like deeply regretting the situations, well, then you most likely have a lot more to work on this end of things, right? Like don't let your, like, you know, you've truly healed from your past situations when they don't invoke those emotions in you anymore. When you no longer feel the need to regret your behavior or your decisions in any way, because you know we all learn differently. We all have these experiences that will frame us. It'll frame our existence. It turns us into who we are. That wisdom is priceless. And if you can find a way to look at even like the hardest, worst things that ever happened to you and find a way to be grateful for them, then you've achieved a whole nother level. And with that comes a lot of freedom, because that's when we no longer carry that emotional baggage. That's when we're no longer afraid of what other people think or what society expects from us. We are meant to shake that part of life off of us at this time. That's what this whole Uranus transit, Uranus through Taurus, is all about. Getting more comfortable with who we are authentically, getting more aligned with the things that are much like us, right? Like we spend so much time early in our lives just trying to be what everybody else told us we were supposed to be, right? Like meeting really fantastic partners, some of them, and even then it wasn't great because you weren't you. You weren't aligned with your path and your destiny. And so you had to live out certain cycles of karma and deal with certain karmic partners, and hopefully they weren't terrible. Maybe some of them were. But there's no reason to regret. It comes out right under the Strength card. Now we have the Sun and the Strength, both cards of Leo. Leo known for their wild abandon and their ability to lead, their ability to create, right? Like Leo rules the 5th house. It's all about the creativity. If you've ever met an artist who felt like they couldn't really create what they wanted to, then that was probably the saddest artist you've ever met in your life. An artist without the ability to create what's in their heart is very Saturnian and not a real existence. And I think we have to be strong enough to overlook that. And I think we have to be strong enough to say, yeah, we weren't perfect in the past. Nobody was. Yeah, we committed to certain things. We did certain things. We had all of these expectations. And life just had a different plan. And I had to unfold the way that it unfolded for a reason. But see, there's no fear here. There's like this, the thing you're creating, the energy, the connection here, like this is safe. You're going through your own little process while this is just simply safe and sound. If there are conversations, if there are truths that need to be had, I don't see it really blowing up the entire situation. I don't see partners leaving. I don't see divorces or breakups of any kind. I just see this as radical acceptance of self, and therefore you are able to love even more. On the last card out, we have the Seven of Cups in reverse. This is more clarity. Seven of Cups is probably what it felt like for a while, right? The situation, the High Priestess, Seven of Cups. These are both Pisces energy, in a state of darkness, not really understanding, not getting a lot of feedback or answers from others. It's like no guarantees here, and yet you may be asking yourself, how do I find myself in such a state of gratitude and happiness when there are no guarantees? Because I think for a long time, we all were taught to look for the guarantees. Right? How many times do you, I think this is terrible advice maybe, but how many times did you hear like a mother or a grandparent or somebody say, why buy the cow when the milk is free, right? It's just weird messages that are coming to me. And I just think that society had like this really weird way of confusing all of us into what it really was all about. And if you think that relationships are about manipulating or tricking somebody into loving and committing, then most likely that was a lesson we were learning. And when you find the right thing, when it's aligned with your vibration, there is none of that required. It just simply works. There's no games. There's no manipulation. There's no, I need to hold back or, And that's the kind of connections that we want. That's what we're trying to like really create in 2022. And that's what the year 6, the year of Venus, which by the way is also the year of the tiger, like it's time to go after our hearts. It's time to live from a heart place. With this Magdalena Bay Baja, I birth new concepts and ideas easily. I am full of flowfulness in every part of my life. Grace permeates my being. And I definitely see grace here in this card, the way that she stands and the ease in which she operates, even though there's, even danger all around her. This is a really beautiful reading about personal growth here and seeing yourself in a new light and allowing that to dictate like your next direction. Really uplifting messages, guys. Beautiful reading. I am going to leave it there. I do hope you guys have a really wonderful week, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care. Okay, pile number 2. You guys picked my very favorite stone, this red obsidian. Red carnelian. For me, the red carnelian is really a expression of the lower chakras. And that tends to be where we get stuck, and a lot of times stuck with our ability to move or make a big decision, like when it comes to big life decisions. I think we've all been there. We've all done that, right? Like if you're going to blow up your entire life, usually, most likely, it takes a minute to really consciously understand what you're doing and to move forward anyways. And I have you coming out this month as this beautiful Page of Cups. And to me, it reeks of new beginnings. Planting new seeds, trying new things, learning new skills, setting new intentions and goals. It's a beginning phase. Your environment is that of the star. This is the epitome of that Aquarius energy. And remember that your environment sees you, right? Like that's what happens with the star. The star is about being seen. It's about being authentic. And it's also, you know, in the traditional Rider-Waite, she's shown kind of spilling out these jugs of water, which to me kind of is the essence of that emotional detachment. And there seems to be a releasing point going on for you here, because it's clear that there's something new starting, which is also going to demand that you close out these old storylines. In the name of healing, in the name of hope, in the name of destiny, we need to finalize some of these chapters and set new intentions. Now here we have the King of Wands and the Two of Pentacles. And here we have luck is on your side. See, a King of Wands right underneath a Sagittarius card is truly all about the freedom. And it's also about like what you have your sights set on. Now, for some of you, this King of Wands is your energy. This is you kind of stepping in and taking leadership of your life, starting to dictate how you want things to go. And maybe that's been a little bit of a process for you, learning like how to voice your opinion, how to make these decisions. Look, we spend a lot of life allowing like other people to make this call for us. Even if we don't want to admit it, we do. We do certain things at certain times because they're just simply what's expected of us, whether that's from society, from our parents, from a significant other or spouse, but we find a way to kind of conform our life into other people's, and then we start to like consider all of these things before we make big moves. And they're kind of showing me like this person just kind of piling more and more bricks on top of a wagon. And how would you expect this to move easily if you keep loading it down with other people's expectations? So for some of you, this is your change of attitude. This is kind of the process you've been going through for some time, learning how to take your control back. Learning to say, yeah, but you know, I didn't really want life to go this way. I didn't want to live in this city. I didn't want to have this kind of job. And I love that right underneath that we have this new moon in Sag, luck is on your side. See, this is what happens when you start to align with your intentions. When you start to make it clear to the universe, I want such and such. And the luck is on your side because the universe wants you to experience this new level of freedom. There's not going to be a lot of resistance here. Like whatever it is that you have your sights set on, and maybe for some of you, this King of Wands is an actual person. It could be like a new relationship or a new inspiration or somebody that comes in that does really get you to move in some way. Maybe gets you to see things a little bit differently than you ever have before. Maybe it's just an attraction. Maybe it is a new hobby of some sort. Maybe it's just a sexual attraction in some way, but the King of Wands with this card underneath is definitely telling me that what you want also wants you. Okay, there's a really good exchange here. Again, if this isn't a love scenario, then most likely, like whatever the hobby or the new job is or a new friendship, like everything seems to be clicking really well. Again, what you want also wants you. And here we have this Two of Pentacles and this card number 5, closing door, completion. We have this Three of Wands in reverse right above that. And I think maybe there's a part of us, you, that is still deeply rooted in the old stories. Like maybe we're waiting for that person that we wanted for so long to make the move, and that person never makes the move. And then this King of Wands shows up, and it kind of really changes the storyline, right? It makes you realize what it is to be loved, to be in that vibrational alignment with something that wants you back. And I think contrast is going to kind of be a thing for you guys. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, the things that you desire that are working out effortlessly are meant for you. They're meant to be pursued. This is your lucky streak. Now you have every choice. You have willpower. You could choose to not follow this. You can choose to continue to wait on the other thing that isn't working, but the resistance is for a purpose. You may be really hesitating chasing something wonderful here because you're worried that that means that this door will forever be closed here. There's a certain level of finality. And here we have the Five of Swords, which is another element of like yielding a weapon, cutting something off. And once you do so, it is complete. I think there's no real going back. And then we have this new journey, fire. Here is fire. You have known of this new venture for some time, and you have prepared well for it. Resonate with your calling and move forward without looking back. Your courage and determination will be celebrated. Guys, I can't say it enough. The new things that are entering your lives, these are things that are meant, they're like a trajectory to the next level. But of course, we've got these Mercury retrogrades and this Venus retrograde, and it's also making us kind of look at the past. Where do we have loose ends that need to be kind of tied up? Like slippery exes that feel they can come in and out whenever they want, because that's going to lower your vibration and you will no longer align with this which is meant for you. And I think anytime that you're looking back at your life, if you're dealing with something that isn't giving you immediate satisfaction, then you have to take that as a sign that it is not a part of your destiny. Look at your destiny showing up right here. And it's this. It's this passion, this electricity, this freedom. If you're dealing with an ex, or if you're dealing with old situations that make you feel like you're not good enough, those chapters are meant to close for you now. And it's almost as if the universe delivers you something immediately so that you can understand the contrast. There's times in our lives when we want certain things really bad for a long, long time. And we convince ourselves that if we just give a little bit more, if we just give a little more time, a little more effort, a little more this, a little more that, we invest a little bit more. If we really prove to the universe that we truly desire this. And we have to understand that that's not how it works. Most likely there was valuable lessons here that you needed to learn. Most likely this situation was a trajectory to get you here. And there's probably a lot of moving pieces in which you could say, yeah, well, if I wasn't dealing with this kind of rejection or hurt or procrastination in some way, for me, it's coming to mind like this is a partner that never really truly commits. And we're like, yeah, but maybe if I'm nicer, maybe if this happens, maybe if that happens, maybe I'm going to give it one more month or one more year or whatever. These are all the missed opportunities. But something's caught your eye. Something's coming that's saying, maybe it's time to leave all this behind. Maybe the truth is this was never really meant to go anywhere. And you're going to see the difference between what happens when somebody pursues you instead of you just being the person waiting to be pursued. There's a real switch of dynamic power here. And in our challenge position, we have the Hanged Man, Pisces energy, and this card, Patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. And I think this is a double-edged sword. Because there is going to be a part of you that says, oh, but I've been waiting for this thing to happen for so long. Like, who am I to turn back now? And it could be like, as soon as you start to pull your energy back, this person says, oh shit, I'm about to miss this opportunity. And so this could leave us in a real state of unknowing. But the challenge position is that of patience. And I think if you look at the situation, every indication here says, go for the new journey. Go for the new thing, not the thing you've been waiting for forever. Like, it's time to maybe not give so much energy to the idea of patience. Look at patience is super convenient. It's a great asset to have. But it's also important to understand the path of least resistance. And the idea that what you want also wants you, and if you keep putting all your eggs in a basket, that it's not even, this container isn't even big enough for you. Most likely, this scenario is something you chose when you were a completely different person. And through the not having, right? Through the contrast, you actually developed into something so much more. And that was the purpose. And of course, we could stay committed to like the intention, committed to the goal. Like, I'm going to see this through. I'm going to make this work. You have to understand that this was never really made to work. You could stay stuck here for another year or another decade. And most likely this will never change. And Three of Wands in reverse, ultimately you will look back on the entire scenario and feel as if you were never chosen. As if you were just in the background conveniently waiting in case this person chose you. I think you have to realize, like Page of Coins, you are worth so much more. Look, we go from a page and then the final outcome card is that of the Ten of Pentacles. And so I want you to look at these situations, and I want you to ask yourself, which one would you prefer last a lifetime? Being with somebody who truly wanted you, or being with somebody that kept you waiting? Being with somebody that didn't make you feel good enough, or that you were enough? The Ten of Pentacles, Mars and Capricorn energy, this is us looking at the big picture. If I had to choose a scenario to spend the next 10 years in, it certainly wouldn't be in a place of longing and never having. I would much prefer this passion to be ignited within me. And you might look at this and say, oh, yeah, but I mean, like, I know this is very specific, but maybe this is just sexual in nature, and you don't see the long-term potential. Here's the evidence that there is long-term potential. There is no coincidence that this entire reading is sandwiched between a King of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles. And I think you're going to have to emotionally detach from this old story. I think that has to happen first before you could really see the potential of this scenario. And let's talk for a second about what a profound adjustment this will be. Because when you think that love, that real love feels like sacrifice, that means you have to relearn everything. Page of Coins. You have to relearn what relationships are really about. We have to relearn what it's like to be wanted and pursued and appreciated for who we are. And I think this new journey is a lot healthier than anything you've ever experienced in the old. And this is the opportunity for you to say, no, you know what? I deserve this. I endured this, but I absolutely deserve this. And the final card out underneath that Ten of Pentacles, Angkor Wat. I have the courage to live my heaven on earth, as above, so below. I am aware that sometimes things must fall apart to be reborn as I would wish. Guys, I can't make it any clearer. This is a rebirth process, and I think it's centered around your entire relationship with love and attraction in and of itself. This is a complete opportunity to relearn what it is. Did you ever hear that saying, like, the hardest relationship you'll ever experience is the healthy one after the toxic one? Because we become so accustomed to a certain level of treatment. We become accustomed to feeling neglected or ignored. Like, that's not how it's supposed to feel. For some reason, we settle for so very little when our hearts want and deserve so much more. Guys, whatever new opportunities are popping up for you, whatever this new thing is, please understand the long-term potential here. Please understand that the universe is begging you to let go of this old story so that this can truly emerge and thrive and build into something really beautiful. And if you are struggling to let this story go, it means deep down, it's not even about this person. It's about your ability to understand that you deserve this kind of life and that you deserve this kind of love. Because I see very little about this person that is meant for you. This was a lesson, and the new thing is a gift. All right, Awesome reading, guys. That was really beautiful. I'm going to leave it there. I don't think there's much more to say about that. Please do be mindful in your communication. You know, if you are starting a new relationship, let's make sure we're making clear boundaries with the old stuff. If any of you are really happy in this new relationship and like starting to get text messages, you know, just say it how it is. Let that stuff go. Mars in Capricorn is all about nurturing the boundaries, your personal boundaries, your comfort levels, your priorities. So, you know, be aware of that this month. Remember, we're closing a door and completing a cycle, so we could really take advantage of this new. All right, lots of love, guys. Take care. I'll talk to you very soon. All right, pile number 3. You guys chose the beautiful Mahogany Obsidian stone that I just love so much. Just that earthiness about it. You guys are coming out this week as the Queen of Wands. I have to say, I pulled out the cards for this. You guys actually got a bonus card. It came out so tightly entwined with this Three of Cups and the Emperor that I was sure there was like a full message there. So I didn't want to separate them. It is what it is. Sometimes the cards just want to come out the way that they want to come out. But I'm taking a look at this and I see we have full moon in Capricorn. We've got a Two of Pentacles Capricorn energy, right? We have a Queen of Wands, Aries energy. We have the Chariot, which is Cancer energy. We've got the Justice card, which is Libra energy, pointing out all 4 cardinal signs in one reading. Now, especially seeing that your environment is that of the Chariot, and we have the Chariot coming out here, there is no doubt that there is action and movement. I think some of you are going to be, well, I think all of you tuning into this third reading here are really going to be taking charge and making some really big decisions, making some big life-altering decisions in the next couple of weeks. Now, remember, this energy doesn't all have to like happen this week. It's really not all going to get done. We're still in retrograde process, right? But the clarity, the intention is set, especially as Mars moves into Capricorn, because that's where we can operate the best from. When our intentions are set, Mars in Capricorn will kind of create this scenario where we can take a step-by-step strategic process into attaining whatever it is that we've decided we're going to go after, or however we're going to do it. Mars in Capricorn gives you the stamina to see it through. So there's a lot going on here. Now let's talk about this Queen of Wands for a minute in your energy, which tells me that you have to be so clear on the things that you truly want, the intentions that you're setting, because the Queen of Wands doesn't take no for an answer. Like, she doesn't doubt herself, right? She follows her instinct. She honors her intuition. I know we always give a lot of like the intuition energy to Cancer and Pisces and the water signs, but fire signs really do hold a lot of intuition. Their ability to make very fast decisions is in honor of their intuition, in honor of their trust for themselves. Now we've got Queen of Wands in your energy and the Chariot in your environment. The universe wants you to move ahead. The universe wants you to start taking the next steps forward. You are not in a place of limbo, at least not by the end of the week. You are going to be fully aligned with your intention and moving forward. And I think that that should excite many of you, because it looks like you are definitely one of these signs or an instance in which you are leaving a lot behind. And remember, I said Aquarius season is about the emotional detachment, the ability to see the bigger picture, what's good for you, what's good for your future. And I think maybe even the contrast that we've dealt with, especially with this Cancer full moon, all of this energy working with Pluto, like we've had to look at those really unhealthy, unhappy scenarios in our lives. We had to really honestly look at them, and we've had to honestly say to ourselves, we are the only ones with the power to change it. We can't sit around and complain about our life. And I want to talk about that for a second. We've got the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles, and that's this kind of energy. Well, I'm not really happy with where I'm at or what I'm doing, but it pays the bills. And yeah, I wish I had like one of those jobs where I was emotionally satisfied, or I wish I had the perfect partner, but I don't. I have what I have. We could go through life like that for a really long time. We could go through life being somewhat sort of satisfied, like whatever scenarios we are in, they might just kind of meet like our lowest expectations. They're okay for now. It's not the dream come true, but at least I'm not alone, or at least I'm not on my own, or at least I have a paycheck. Like that's kind of the settling energy, this Two of Pentacles and the Four of Cups. And I'm looking here, and we've got the end of a tough cycle approaches, full moon in Capricorn. And we know the twos always represent a choice or a decision that we're making. And this is about you trying to take two sides of yourself and integrate them, meaning that there are probably parts of your life where you feel like you could be authentically yourself, and then parts of your life where you don't. Now, I say that specifically because right underneath this Four of Cups, which is my card of complacency, we have this card number 38. Many masks, the authentic self. And this is where I'm honing in on this energy of two different scenarios, one in which you can operate and be completely and authentically yourself, and the other one in which you are wearing a mask. Now, we operate in this as humans all of the time, right? Like, how many of us go to work and we get dressed up in probably like clothes we don't even like, or we do a job that we're not even interested in, and we socialize with coworkers that we would most likely not be friends with in any other particular situation, and yet we make do. Like, this life starts to feel like our daily life. And it's not until the contrast gets introduced that we start to really see this as what it is. We start to recognize when we are putting on this mask, when we're operating as this person we truly don't even resonate with. And like, there's no shortage of places in our lives where we don't feel like we could be ourselves, right? That's been a really big issue for this entire Saturn-Uranus square. Like, we're all committed to these certain things in our lives, and they were most likely decisions we made 5, 10, 15 years ago, commitments that we made, ideas that seemed really great at the time. But we've outgrown them. And yet we still try to be that person that resonated with that thing from that long ago. And I would bet that 9 times out of 10, we've tried really hard to ignore this reality. Whether it's in our marriages, our jobs, our family, our friendships, we've ignored the fact that it hasn't fit us for quite some time. We get into weird areas, right? Like, we do weird things to try to like make this scenario okay. And I often say in astrology, like, when you see in somebody's chart, there's like repressed emotions or something like that going on. You know, those things will continue to get louder and louder until you recognize them. It always will. And if you don't allow them, Sorry, guys. If you don't allow yourself to see those things for what they truly are, And they get louder and louder, and the universe kind of demands that you recognize this. And that's kind of what this Pluto transit has been about. Looking at the contrast, really having to face the areas of your life that you're not happy with, and understanding that you have the power to change it. So you give your power away when you play in an area of complacency. We give our power away, and then 10 years down the line we look and we say, well, where did all that time go? Where is my life gone? What have I achieved? What have I done? What have I fallen in love with? And I think there's something about life that you're looking at and saying, I want the adventure. I want the great love. I want the fantastic job. I want to take the risks. I don't want to play it safe anymore. I don't want to settle for status quo. There's just something that doesn't feed your soul here. Regardless of how much time goes on, regardless of how good you are at wearing this mask and pretending that you are happy here, there's only so long that you can go about lying to yourself. And right here, center of the reading, the big message here, we've got the Chariot and the Justice card. Cancer representing our emotional state, and Justice representing our outward facade to the world, right? Now, I want to point something out right now. I think this is going to be different for everybody. I'm picking up kind of a job and career vibe here, but it doesn't have to be. It could very much be about love. But I want to pay attention to the card that comes out underneath these two super powerful major arcana cards. God of Wealth, Metal. The money god is knocking at your door. Open it and welcome him in. This is not only a sign of monetary gain and financial success. It also portends good fortune in all things: health, relationships, career, and family. And I think it's really important to understand where you're at right now. There is an emotional reconciling between your current emotional state and your wishes and dreams. Now, whether this is in a partnership, relationships, your health, your finances, whatever it is, whatever area of life this is hitting, the universe is kind of just waiting for you to make your mind up, waiting for you to choose the better. And this is a reminder, the Chariot card and the Justice card, that if you continue to operate from a place of complacency, you will only ever get things that you are complacent about. You will only ever have the job that simply pays the bills. You will only have the kind of relationship that's, at least I'm not alone. But when you start to emotionally resonate with a passion, like the Queen of Wands does, with a purpose, with a drive, with an ambition that something is so much bigger than you, right? Like if you've ever had that kind of a passion in your life that maybe even doesn't make sense to other people, like it sounds crazy, but yet there's a knowing. There's a knowing that there's more to be had, that there's more to life. And when you start to connect with that way of thinking, the universe will confirm it. Justice card. You make the move, the universe matches you. God of Wealth. And for some of you, you will be sitting in a shitty job, taking a big risk and filling out an application or sending your resume to something you think you have zero chance of obtaining, and boom, the universe says, yes, Boom, the universe says, we were just waiting for you to make the move. The universe doesn't want you here. This isn't what life is about. Like, believe it or not, we are not here on this planet simply to pay the bills and not feel alone. We all have a purpose. Some of us, I know it's hard to understand, are just simply meant to be happy. Because when we're happy, when we're satisfied, when we're abundant, whatever that abundance means to you, when you are abundant and you operate at a super high vibration, you contribute to the vibration of the entire earth. You raise the scale for everyone. You set a beautiful example. I know people like this in my life. I know people that had a perfectly fine life. By all means, any outsider looking in would say, oh, you've got the perfect life, and yet they were not happy. And they didn't choose to stay there. When they became unhappy with the circumstances, they made the choice to change it. Because they understood that the universe works that way, that we're meant to change, our circumstances are meant to change. In this day and age, we're meant to live a lot of different lifetimes in one. Very rarely will you see somebody who has one relationship their whole life or one career their entire life. We are evolving and expanding humans. And the real shame is what occurs when we don't allow the expansion to happen. When we sell ourselves short, when we say, oh, but I don't want to disappoint anybody, or oh, I could never, like that's all bullshit. Those are excuses. And there's every indication to me that you know what I'm talking about, that you know where these areas are, and you know how badly you want life to feel and taste different. And if you don't start to go after those intentions, then the Justice card will just be that of justice. If you don't make a move, if you don't put in an effort, if you don't say those things, if you don't make those changes, you can remain here forever. But this mask that you have to wear in order to remain here will become more and more uncomfortable. And here we have the Chariot card, the Knight of Swords, and this card of worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. See, there's a fear inside of you that if you make the request, that you ask for the thing. And I mean, some of you might just be asking the universe. Some of you, it might even be like a challenge just to say a prayer for what you truly want and desire. See, we put so much pressure on ourselves, right? The Chariot, Cancer card. We worry about how our family will be affected. We worry about whether we'll disappoint people or hurt people's feelings. Like if you're stuck in a marriage or a relationship and you're not happy, and yet you don't want to break anybody's heart. And that's all fine and very noble of you, but what are you really contributing if you don't want to be there to begin with? And the person that you are with, they also, Justice card, deserve to be loved and cherished. And if your heart is not in that anymore, then you are denying them of their dharma. You are also keeping them stuck. Same as if this is a job. I say it all the time. If you do not love what you do, then most likely you are not putting your full 100% effort and passion into it. You begin to just work for the paycheck. Therefore, you have to honestly say, am I contributing 100% of my value and effort to this? Probably not. Does my employer deserve an employee that is passionate about this, well, that would be the best case scenario. See, the Justice card indicates that whatever changes that you're making, and you may have a lot of stress around disappointing or making this change, but that worry and that stress is just holding up everybody's story. This hasn't been an easy cycle, right? The end of a tough cycle approaches, full moon in Capricorn. And let me tell you, opposite of Cancer, the Capricorn can endure a whole lot. Capricorns can endure a lot without a whole lot of love, without a whole lot of substance behind it. We are known to kind of operate in that day-to-day, put a smile on your face, do the things you're meant to do, discipline, very Saturn-like creatures. But you're operating from a Queen of Wands. This is about the fire. This is about the passion and the desire and the joy. There seems to be a big turn in your personality. There seems to be a big turn in your desires. And I think now is the time where you have to realize that the doubts, the guilt, and the fear that you've been weighing, that's what this Two of Pentacles is about. The pros and the cons of whatever this scenario is, this is a waste of time. Really, truly, you tell yourself that you are considering, when you know damn well your mind has been made up for a long time. You know what you want. This is simply procrastination. This is fear. Worry is just another form of fear. And it's fear mixed with really weird expectations. Like when we worry, we're assuming the worst. Like you ever break up with somebody and you're pretty sure it's going to break their heart, and you put it off and you put it off and then finally you do it and they're like, okay, cool. And you're like, oh my God, I agonized over that. And it's not to say that if that's something that's occurring in your life, the partner's going to be like, okay, cool. But again, the Justice card indicates that this is a best case scenario for them as well. And here in the outcome, we have the Emperor card, which is a card of Aries. And we have the Three of Cups, which is a card of celebration, happiness. This is you resonating with that passion. This is you choosing this. Choosing the passionate side of life. Choosing being with people you love. This is Three of Cups doesn't happen when you work in a job where you don't really like your coworkers and you can't be yourself. We can't reach this Three of Cups status when we're there. But the Emperor is an indication that it's time to take action. It's time to start really aligning with the things that you do feel joyful about, the things you do want to celebrate in life. The love, the friendship, the camaraderie, all of that happens in that Three of Cups is spending the time, putting in the effort in relationships that give back. And here we have Taos. We are one. I exercise self-care and care for my community. There is no one spiritual path, but many. This is a reminder that what you chose over here was not wrong at the time. This too was on your spiritual path. This too gave you something. You learned, it gave you wisdom, it gave you strength, it gave you security. It was the perfect thing for you at the perfect time, up until the point in which you outgrew it. And I think it's really special that they include here care for my community. And here we have this Three of Cups, which is really the essence of community. And the knowing that when you are operating in a high vibrational state, when you yourself are representing pure joy and happiness, then all of the people around you benefit. Even the people that you have to set free will ultimately benefit. You seem to be agonizing over a decision in which there is no reason to agonize over. And I think by the time you get done, then you finally make the move, you finally have the courage to take the mask off. I think everyone shortly therefore, after at least, will be relieved. Sometimes I look at this Emperor card, especially as an extra card that's coming out, as a timing card. And so I want you to pay attention because it might feel difficult now. Like February, this is a time to do the hard work, to disconnect from the things that do not resonate with you so that you can clear the path to the things that do. And I have a feeling that if you make this known, then life is really going to take off in Aries season, which is middle of March. And this is all like the preparation to your personal Aries season. And Queen of Wands, you're certainly going to have the courage to do this. I love this reading, guys. This was really, really beautiful. I'm going to leave it there. Please remember, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I love you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Bye. But something's caught your eye. Something's coming that's saying, maybe it's time to leave all this behind. Maybe the truth is this was never really meant to go anywhere. And you're going to see the difference between what happens when somebody pursues you instead of you just being the person waiting to be pursued. There's a real switch of dynamic power here. And in our challenge position, we have the Hanged Man, Pisces energy, and this card, Patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. And I think this is a double-edged sword. Because there is going to be a part of you that says, oh, but I've been waiting for this thing to happen for so long. Like, who am I to turn back now?